Thank you for tuning in to watch our third Invest Pittsburgh Leadership Summit. You're about to watch panel number 3, From Campus to Company, what new paradigms are emerging on the path from student to employee, and how are educators and companies adapting and collaborating. Be sure to like and subscribe for more leadership insights. Enjoy.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Abby and your team for all of the work that you've done. I've learned a lot this morning. It's been very exciting. So I'm Doug Chu, one of Westmoreland County's 3 commissioners, and I want to talk a little bit about Westmoreland County and how we're driving long-term economic growth through private sector investment, infrastructure, and workforce alignment. Westmoreland County is seeing strong, diversified investment across advanced manufacturing, energy technology, semiconductors, and logistics. For example, Premier Automation is investing $13.6 million in a new 170,000 square foot facility in Murraysville, creating more than 100 jobs and retaining 130 positions. PowerX is committing $14 million in Youngwood to modernize semiconductor operations, securing more than 200 jobs in a high-growth industry. In the county's industrial parks, Dayton Freight is opening a new logistics facility, and Chelsea Building Products is constructing a 228,000 square foot facility and manufacturing plant that is expected to support 150 jobs. These projects represent reinvestment, industrial diversification, and sustained confidence in Westmoreland County. You can reach out to our Industrial Development Corporation if you have any other questions or needs. We're also strengthening the infrastructure that supports this type of growth. Since 2020, Westmoreland County has added more than 400 miles of new fiber broadband, expanding access for residents, businesses, schools, and healthcare. To accelerate deployment, we have committed up to $2,500 per household to incentivize providers to expand into and underserved areas through potential BEAD funding. 4 BEAD applications were awarded, and after their completion, there will be no known areas in Westmoreland without high-speed internet. Reliable broadband is no longer an option. It's a foundational economic infrastructure component. We continue investing in quality of life assets as well, including park upgrades, trail extensions, and a $1.7 million parks plan, a plan focused on long-term system improvements, including refurbishments, because companies locate where people want to live. But ultimately, long-term growth depends on workforce. Westmoreland County's providers of education are on the frontiers of that paradigm shift that is the topic of Panel 3. Despite our population having grown by nearly 2,000 residents in recent years, we recognize that sustained competitiveness requires a tighter alignment between education and employer demand. To Guy's point in Panel 1, we are making sure that the trades is not a dirty word in Westmoreland County. That is why the Forum for Workforce Development started within Westmoreland's Economic Growth Connection, or EGC. The forum brings together 17 school districts, 3 career and technology centers, all post-secondary institutions, and business leaders to create a coordinate, county-wide talent pipeline. Chairman Curtis and I have committed nearly $1 million in ARPA funds to support the development of career academies across the county, modeled in part after the Ignite Institute in Boone County, Kentucky, which will emphasize project-based, STEAM-focused education directly connected with business partnerships. Working with Patton, the Pennsylvania Training and Technical Assistance Network, the forum is developing what will be the first unified countywide computer science framework in Pennsylvania. 14 districts are actively participating and all 17 districts and 3 CTCs are engaged in elements of this overall Forum for Workforce Development. The goal is simple. When an employer hires a student from Westmoreland County, they know what that credential represents. It represents technical competence, workplace readiness, and immediate impact. At the higher education level, alignment continues. At Westmoreland County Community College, employer advisory committees are used across healthcare, manufacturing, IT, trades, business, and public safety, directly shaping the college's curriculum, the equipment investment, and internship pathways. Students can earn industry-relevant credentials in as little as 4 to 12 weeks and move directly into high-demand careers. At Seton Hill University, every major requires experiential learning before graduation. Initiatives like their Career Readiness Center, students not only develop in-demand competencies, but they also learn how to clearly articulate those skills to their employers. The University of Pittsburgh at Greensburg leverages a global alumni network to connect students directly with professional opportunities and knowledge. This is what a modern workforce ecosystem looks like: coordinated K-12 pathways, an employer-shaped curriculum, experiential learning, rapid credentialing, and direct employer engagement in the entire process. That alignment reduces your hiring risk, shortens onboarding time, strengthens productivity, and makes Westmoreland County more competitive for business attraction and expansion. Economic development and quality of life improvements are not one announcement or one project. It's an integrated system that we're building in Westmoreland County. We're building that system intentionally and aligning capital investment, infrastructure, and workforce so that companies can succeed there and families can thrive there. That alignment, we believe, is our competitive advantage. Thank you to all of you for being here today. I look forward to doing the next Invest Pittsburgh, the 4th edition, because I learned so much this morning. So thanks to everybody.
Thanks, and thanks to Abby and CAA for the invitation and for hosting this event, for all of you being here and sticking it out to the end. As a colleague of mine used to say, everything that needs to be said has already been said, just not everybody said it. So we're gonna have a conversation here, continue the discussion of how do we equip people to move from a student role into the workforce? And that requires work on both ends of the continuum, on the educational institution side of things, as well as on the employer side of things. So we're going to spend some time talking about partnerships and some of the partnerships you all are involved with. On that front, I'm Dr. David Ballard. I'm Vice President of One Mind at Work. You may think, like, why is a mental health nonprofit? What does this have to do with anything? You probably have heard the answer to the question of why do you rob banks, right? You know the answer? It's where the money is, right? So if you want to address mental health, where do you go? Workplace, because that's where the people are. And the reality is the workplace has the potential to have a significantly negative impact on people. We hear it all the time. We talk about it all the time. Stress, burnout, interpersonal conflicts, all of the negatives that have come up from time to time. And we've heard mental health get raised as an issue here today. But the workplace also has the ability to be a positive influence on people's lives, giving them an opportunity to contribute to things larger than them, to improve their communities, to grow and advance, to build strong relationships. But you need to equip people to be able to do that. So our role, One Mind at Work, we actually have a presence here in Southwest Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh area. And no, we're not a vendor. We're not trying to sell you anything. We actually have a grant from the R.K. Mellon Foundation to support employers in the Pittsburgh area around workforce mental health. So if you're doing programs, efforts in that area, if you're interested in doing that, Kathy Risco back in the back, raise your hand, is coordinating our efforts here in Pittsburgh. So we have convenings and resources and things you can tap into as an employer in the Pittsburgh area. So grab one of us afterwards if you're interested in getting engaged and getting some of that support. That's part of the public-private partnerships, educational institutions, employers, and nonprofits and NGOs working together to really advance these efforts to support well-being and to support performance. So I'm glad to hear that mental health already came up in the conversation this morning, because it's not just about benefits, it's not just about self-care, it's about people thriving and doing well and succeeding, and that spills over into educational institutions succeeding in their outcomes. It spills over into businesses succeeding in having a sustainable, high-performing workforce that's competitive. That spills over into the communities and the health and functioning of communities and the people in them. So it's all a big system, and we need all of us coming around these shared tables and having these very kinds of conversations. So both higher education institutions and employers have faced this really shifting landscape. All sorts of things are happening economically, technology-wise, changes in enrollment on the educational institution side. It's a very different world nowadays, as you've heard. I mean, I too, I'm wearing a suit today, but I suit and tie every day for 20 years going into the office. So today we're going to talk about some of those shifts, how it's affecting the educational institution side and the employer side, how colleges and universities are adapting, how businesses are partnering with them to really equip people to succeed in business and to succeed in their roles when they move into the workplace. So I'm going to start with a question for all three of you. From your perspective, what are the biggest shifts that you've seen occur over the past few years, both in the workplace and in higher ed? And what has your institution or organization done to address those changes? And I'm going to start with you, Roger.
Thank you. I'm Roger Davis. I'm the president of the Community College of Beaver County. And I wanted to talk about, there's this demographic shift in general. There's not going to be enough workers in America. We already know that. And what we've noticed is that I don't think you're going to see this linear model of higher education anymore. We know employers are jumping over higher education, coming right to high school and hiring students right out of high school. And I sit back as president, I laugh at you, because they're not ready. They're going to be on their phone. They're going to be late. They're not going to be dressed appropriately. And then you send them back to us, and then we beat them up and we get them back together. And then we send them back to you, and they have a certificate. Then they work for you a few more years. They get upset that they don't make $1 million. They come back to us. We get them an associate's degree. We send them back to you, right? And that's what President Cox was talking about. If you partner with us, we will get you the formula that you need to get the type of employees that you're looking for. So I do know that the linear model is going to look very different.
Great, thanks. Elizabeth?
I'm Elizabeth. Is this on?
I don't think so. Take mine.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
Oh, I think it's working now.
Yep.
Okay. I'm Elizabeth MacLeod Walls. I have the privilege of serving as the 14th president of Washington and Jefferson College. And, what I would share is, first of all, this question that you're asking is not a plant for W&J. Adaptation is in our DNA. And in the last 18 months, we have curated what we call our credo at W&J, which is that we cultivate skilled, adaptive minds. Now, the two most important words in our credo are skilled and adaptive, because what I've been hearing all morning from all of the employers in the room is technical skills are really important, but we also need those next level leaders to step into our organization and be able to adapt and problem solve and co-create and collaborate, to have high emotional intelligence, and to be able to communicate effectively and to think on their feet. And that's what W&J grads do. So this morning I met a 2012 grad for the very first time at this event. Luke, where are you, Luke? Luke Shore. There he is. Okay. And I don't want to creep you out, but I found out that you were a history major at W&J. Okay. And I wanted to get your title just right. So you are the chief estimator of mission critical at Sargent Electric Company. And what you're working on right now is establishing data centers in southwestern PA. And we heard this morning how important these data centers are to industry in southwestern PA. And it's your critical thinking skills, it's your adaptability that has allowed you to be so successful in an industry in which, as a history major, perhaps you didn't immediately train for, but the curriculum that we offer at a liberal arts college like W&J prepares students to be able to walk into any circumstance and to advance the mission automatically. So we're very proud of that. That's an important part of workforce development going on here in southwestern PA.
Great, thanks. We'll be diving into each and every one of your transcripts throughout this presentation.
Right, yeah.
Adam?
Yeah, good morning, Adam Smith. I'm with Forvis Mazars. We're a top 10 public accounting firm, and one of the industries we serve is higher education. So I'm an audit partner and help lead our higher education practices in serving colleges and universities across the country. So in our world, as been mentioned multiple times this morning, technology, AI is reshaping how we do work. So we are really looking for our first-year associates to come in knowledgeable, skilled in AI, technology, automation, robotics, to make our work more efficient, but also more effective, and be able to do compliance work better or do audit work better through the technology. And then 100% agree with the emerging skill of adaptability. We just issued a kind of a pulse survey of C-suite executives across the globe. 3,000, I think, C-suite executives responded, and kind of the number one skill set that came out of that survey was adaptability. You might have seen a recent LinkedIn post as well about some of the top skills that LinkedIn has procured in today's environment, and number one, AI, followed closely by adaptability.
Great, thanks. You've heard the theme come out throughout all of the panels today, that they're concrete skills, they're technology skills related to AI and so on, but there are a lot of other interpersonal skills, soft skills, EQ, the kinds of things that are going to allow people both to be adaptive, but also to interact, to have good client relationships, customer relationships, to partner, to work with their colleagues in ways, as well as to function sustainably on their own and be effective, even in high pressure, unpredictable environments a lot of times. Let's stick with the partnership theme, because no one entity in this system can do it on its own, and you heard partnerships come up along the way here. Roger, back to you. You have a lot of partnerships in place. In fact, with a lot of folks who are in the room here today, some of whom we've heard from already. Can you talk about some of these collaborations and how they reflect both the needs of students, but also local employers?
We probably have a very dynamic partnerships with many of our players. We have a 2+2. Everyone may know that. That's 2 years with the community college, 2 years with a 4-year partner. We have a 1+2+1, which is 1 year to 4 year, 2 year with the community college, go 1 year back to get the full bachelor's degrees. There's even 1+3s. There's even 3+1, where you're 3 years with us, 1 year again. These partnerships, what we put in front is premier partners. And so you see the federal government being very, very critical of higher education. Some of it is true. Some of it needs to be revamped. I always talk about the Carnegie Hour. The Carnegie Hour is a 120-year-old model. It does not take 45 hours anymore to learn a subject matter, and we're still doing the same model. And so we put in front of our students premier partners. We know the institutions we put in front of you to transfer are going to accept all 60 credits or up to 90 credits. We are not going to send you anywhere where they're going to make you start over at the freshman year or sophomore year, and that's one of the big strategies we know so our students can finish on time.
So knowing what happens at the next stage is critical to it. Otherwise, you're making assumptions that aren't going to meet anybody's needs. Adam, going to you. You've had a lot of growth in the Pittsburgh area, and that reflects both global growth but also local growth.
Right.
How do you balance those two and make sure that your workforce, people that are coming in, have the skills they need to do the job when they enter, but then how does that also inform workforce development once they're already in?
Yeah, learning and development training is so foundational for our ability to serve clients well, and for our folks to have a meaningful career and continue to progress. And so, our client needs are continually changing. Higher education is such a dynamic environment right now, as has been mentioned, it's been just evolving and rapidly changing. And so, we got to equip our frontline practitioners to keep up with those changing needs. And so, we don't talk about it this way, but I think the CPA, professional services firm, oftentimes have an apprenticeship model where someone comes in, first-year associate, they're giving client work right away, and they progress through the basic stuff and then given more risky areas and more high-profile assignments. But on top of that, we layer a structured training framework. And so our folks go through this training program in the first 5 years to take them from associate up to kind of a manager level title. And then on top of that, they're giving a local coach or mentor. And so that mentor helps guide them to make sure that they're getting the right client assignments, getting the right industry exposure in order to continue to serve their clients well in those industries. And once they are here with us a couple years, they go ahead and self-select and identify the industry they'd like to serve in, whether it's healthcare or banking or colleges and university or private equity or whatever it may be. And at that point, then we continue to focus them on training with that specific industry issues. And so it's just a constant process. When we try to embed in our folks when they join us that training and learning development is not a one-time event, right? It is going to be constant. It's going to be evolving, and we really want to be lifelong learners.
Yeah, it's a great point about it being an ongoing process, and also about having exposure to sort of realistic previews of what the work is going to be like, whether that's happening while you're in school and the experiences you're getting, or once you enter the workforce and you're having, especially in professional services, and you get the opportunity to do real work. That, I think, having that realistic preview, it improves the likelihood that somebody's going to enter and be equipped for it, that they're not going to have some fantasy idea of what it looks like working in, whether it's a consulting firm or financial services or a law firm or anywhere else that you go. You have this idea of what it's like, but if you enter it and your first week you're slammed into the reality of like, this is not what I expected, the likelihood of failure is huge. And then, like we heard earlier, if you're wasting 2 years of time developing somebody and getting them up to speed so that you're not losing money and losing productivity, that's terrible both for the employee but also for the organization itself. Elizabeth, let's go back to you. You've got partnerships with George Washington Hotel, the Heinz History Center. Those are great examples of collaboration. And as you think about how do you align these institutional priorities with economic development that's happening, and how's that informing the work that you're doing moving forward?
So on the note of economic development, so our most famous grad is Roger Goodell. So we wouldn't be having the draft in Pittsburgh if it wasn't for Roger. So you're welcome, Pittsburgh. No, I mean, in terms of Washington County and the city of Washington, as goes Washington, as goes W&J, right? We are integral partners, and that's been hugely important to me as I've come on as president. Washington is in need of economic redevelopment. And I realized when I landed that the college was not really in conversation with the city and the county. We were sort of a discrete entity, if you will. And nothing's going to work if we're going to remain within that ivory tower bubble, right? And so we immediately formed a community partnership with civic leaders within the county and the city, and we've been advancing a conversation about how we can come together around urban planning and development. We're launching an urban planning major at W&J, and we're working closely together with the college being a convener within the city and the county to really try to get these conversations off the ground, and more importantly, get development into the county to be able to support growth. We've had a couple of really important partnerships in this regard. The first one is with UPMC Washington. So our nursing program spends the first year on campus, then the next 2 years at UPMC Washington, similar model, and then they come back and finish with us in the fourth year. We're really excited about that. We want to replicate that model with other health sciences programs that we're getting off the ground. We're known for pre-med, of course, but we're also looking at PA program and AI in healthcare programs, and looking for those partners in the Pittsburgh and Washington areas with whom we can work and advance this really important workforce development that we need in southwestern PA.
Thank you. All right, lightning round.
All right.
In 30 seconds or less.
Ooh, it's on you.
And Adam, we're starting with you. She just hands the mic before I even said Adam. Like, what's one innovation? One innovation, could be a partnership, a collaboration, a technology, anything. One innovation that is critical to preparing students for the workforce in the next 5 years.
Yeah, and coming from the perspective of a professional services firm. So maybe just add to or echo what has been mentioned throughout this morning. We need Gen AI embedded in all curriculum in higher ed. And there was a report, some surveys of faculty, out there across the country about using Gen AI in the classroom. And I think faculty members are struggling a little bit on how to use it in, real life classroom settings. And so I think we as employers need to somehow collaborate with faculty members on how are we using AI in our roles, and how can you then teach and instruct that in a classroom setting in real life, tangible ways.
Thank you. It's pretty close to 30 seconds. I'm going to go back, Roger.
Okay, I'm going to do 3, and I'm going to do it in 30 seconds. One, we have a campus in Washington County. We would love to talk.
Excellent.
2, Beaver County is, like you've heard, going to build 2 data centers. One's already ready to go. We're going to partner with all our community colleges, CCAC, Westmoreland, Butler is sitting with us. All of us are coming together to do something called PA Works, where we will train the data techs, the data splicers, and the data technicians. Third, whether you know it or not, CCBC produces more air traffic controllers than anyone else in America. 80% of air traffic controllers come from this little school in Beaver County. We are building a $22 million building, first type of building of its kind, has local, state, federal funding on the Beaver County Airport, where students take off planes and land planes, and they also fly the planes. Thank you.
Ooh, wow.
Wow.
All right. See, they're each going to
You took off and you landed really well.
They're each going to push back. They're either going to reject the 30-second thing, but they're going to give you the one answer, or they're going to keep it in 30 but give you 3. So, Elizabeth, I'm curious where you're going with
I'm going to
this.
be under 30 seconds. So adaptability and confidence is all about embedding fearlessness within our curriculum, and that's what we're pursuing at W&J.
Wow. I was going to award a prize for the lightning round, but you each approached it differently. Excellent. All right, we're going to tie things up here. I want to wrap things up talking about how we can do this work better together, because we're in the room and this is a start. It's good to have people representing all the employers, educational institutions, local government. I mean, everything in the room. But we need to do better moving forward. So how can educational institutions, employers, government, and other nonprofits partner more effectively to equip the workforce of the future that's going to be successful, high-performing, sustainable, and competitive? Let's start with Elizabeth.
Okay. I'm going to give you perhaps a surprising answer, which is that we need to go back to equipping our students and our graduates to lead lives of meaning and purpose. We've been talking about mental health quite a bit this morning. We spend a lot of time on our devices. We see the attention span of our students diminishing on a daily basis, and we're trying to combat that every day. I know that within your workplaces, you're also experiencing that, and you're trying to make that connection with your employees and teaching them how to make connections with others. It's really important that they are self-aware, that they know how to not just take care of themselves, but take care of others. And they know how to pursue things that equip them to really pursue lives of meaning and purpose. And that's really what we're all about within the educational space.
Thank you. Adam.
Yeah, 100% agree. It maybe offer out there, I think it was mentioned earlier, but maybe adding some more alumni panels, right? I know schools are doing that a lot right now, but these panels and these forums where we can bring in the professionals in career or mid-career and talk about the way they pivot or the way they've changed. I mean, the example earlier of the history major is fantastic, and how that career has evolved. And again, getting back to the idea of adaptability, professional judgment, resiliency, grit, and just evolving throughout the career pathway, and again sharing those success stories.
Thanks. Roger, you talked about landing planes earlier. Land this one for us.
We're a guided pathways institution. In fact, next week, and Monday, I get to go to Oregon. The college received a great prize for Leader of Distinction for helping students with equity. We start with the end in mind. Our guided pathways model is start strong, stay strong, finish stronger. Finish stronger to our students is you must transfer or find employment. We start on that on day one. So we would love partners to come. Day one, in new student orientation, getting in front of these students saying, how do you transfer, how do you find employment?
Great, and that ties back to realistic preview as well. Up front, transparent, here's where we are, here's where we're going. I want to thank the three of you, Roger, Adam, Elizabeth, for your insights on this panel, for the work that you're doing to prepare students to get them into the workforce, to help them be successful, and I hope we can continue the conversation, because we have to all be in this together if we're going to be able to educate, train, prepare people to function in a work environment that's going to be high performing and successful and good for our communities. So thank you.